Overall, though, yeah, like a really good performance by the Vancouver Whitecaps. A match where Jesper Sorensen rotated again. A lot of games in quick succession here, and he just got here mid-January. But trusting these players, Ralph Priso starting again. Matthias Laborda kind of flop sides. Eddie Ocampo having to start with the injury to Sam Atakubi. So rotated quite a few players, and they look great. Bilal Halbouni got this guy the full 90 minutes, comes up with a massive goal. And, it's really cool to see not just these players on the pitch. JC Ngannou, I think, looks amazing as well. And you kind of saw them have moments last year, or you'd see them in training looking okay, pretty good. And you want to see them a little bit more. And everyone says that, or fans are always saying, trust the kids, put the kids in. Easier said than done, right? Like, you got to get results at the end of it. And Jesper's getting results by rotating the group and not having to use Andres Cubas every time. Ryan Gauld getting spelled here and there as well. So it's really fun to watch. Have to be excited if you're a Whitecaps fan right now.
Asa was on the call on radio last night with Colin Miller again, was it? Was it Colin?
We didn't have the radio call last night. We had the MLS game on the weekend, but I got to listen to Jimmy Brennan doing a great job, and that was awesome. Well done, Jimmy. It was good.
Well, Jimmy, let's get you involved here. How about you and Asa just have a chat? Because you guys watched it extremely closely. I didn't watch it. I won't lie to you. Yeah. I saw highlights and I read a match report. I can sell it.
Yeah, I also did that.
Him and Tony have been faking it a long time.
Yeah, Jimmy. Not just blowing smoke, but he did a really good job. It was fun to hear you and Adam kind of break down the chances, because it was one-way traffic, felt downhill. Wanted to get your thoughts. I know we didn't see enough of the replay on that goal, but really felt offside. Monterrey goal. But just tough to, I guess, come to a conclusion if you don't have that visual down the line.
I thought it was offside. You could see what I think it was Alvarado, or was it De La Rosa? What he does, what he ends up doing is he drops back a little bit, right, trying to bend his run. But the back four for the Whitecaps read it, and they actually step up. And I thought their line, when you see the one replay, was bang on. They were absolutely spot on, and probably a yard in their own half.
Yeah.
I didn't understand, by the time the ball left, this guy was 12 yards in front and behind the back four.
Yeah. The visuals are wild. Yeah. It didn't make sense. I guess the only thing, and I think Gareth Wheeler mentioned this as well in the post, with where the assistant referee was a good 3 yards past kind of De La Rosa, and then you'd go under the assumption that they would be in line with the backside fullback, so the Eddie Ocampo, the right back.
Yeah.
Maybe he's trailing a little bit, and you know how quickly things can happen. He takes one step this way, the other players go in the other, and maybe just in that time it makes it look like a 5-yard gap. But
it was huge. But when De La Rosa ends up getting behind, he gets on the ball. He's actually looking, because he actually thinks he's offside, because he can't believe how much room he's got in behind.
Yeah.
Which
really
says on the phone
is the two defenders that are right by him. I think he knows that much. The only one that I think could be possibly keeping him on is the one way on the far side. Yeah. And we just won't know. But it was a gut punch, because it was all Whitecaps before that.
Yeah.
And then this one just comes against a run of play. I guess then the question as well I'd have for you, Jimmy, is, as a defender, were you surprised to see them play that aggressively, or is that the right play to have a line that high in that scenario?
For me, I wouldn't have had a line like that. It's simply because when Aguero gets the ball and he plays it down the line, there's nobody on him. There's no pressure. So Veselinovic, he's got to go with the runner. There's absolutely nobody around Aguero. So he can get on the ball, lift his head up, and play that ball down the line. I would rather, as a defender or a coach, I would be telling my center back, go with the runner. Go with the runner, be safe right now. Because there's no pressure on this ball. Yeah,
and it didn't look like...
And there's too much space in behind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it didn't like Monterrey was doing much of anything when they were set, when the Whitecaps were set in their mid-low block, whatever it was. they weren't really able to find a way through. And if they were going to get something, it felt like it was going to be like that in transition, basically. Kind of catching the Whitecaps out. And they did have, I think, some chances like that with pace coming off of like a defended corner or something.
I think Monterrey I felt they were shell-shocked the first 10, 15 minutes or so of the match. You know, it's both teams trying to figure each other out, different brands of football, different style of play. And eventually, once the Whitecaps settled in, it was lights out for me. I think that's one of the best performances I've seen them play. And I actually said it on the call.
Yeah.
If this is what the Whitecaps have got to look forward to this season, it's exciting times right now for the Whitecap fans. Because
agree.
And it was ridiculous.
Yeah. And I know that Monterrey rotated a little bit, but so did the Caps. And I think that this was going into the Caps' biggest test of the season. We've talked about the red card in the 11th minute against Portland in the first game of the season. Galaxy kind of missing some key pieces, and that's a home opener, so there's something there. But this was rotation. You can see now through a handful of games how Jesper Sorensen wants to play. I think you're getting a decent sample size now, and it's really encouraging, really exciting. The one thing that's I think has fans a little bit nervy right now is something that happened in the last game, the injury early on to Jaden Nelson. Allowalble came in and was incredible, but now if you're out Sam Adekubi and Jaden Nelson for even 3 to 4 weeks, that's concerning because then you're just having to rotate a little bit more. And with these extra games, I think that can wear on the team a little bit. So that's got to be something that fans would be concerned with, obviously.
I thought their movement up top with Ryan Gold, Ahmed. I mean, Rios for me is a bit static. He's just a big body. You could see the dynamic changes when White comes on. He's a little bit more mobile and agile. But their movement and the way that they got in behind. Now, you'll check out stats, right? These stats guys will be like, oh, they had 21 shots and 15 corners. But there's always a why. Why are those stats like that?
Yeah. And
the stats simply became like that because of the movement of Ryan Gold getting in behind, how they got into the channels, Ocampo and Laborda pushing forward a little bit. And when you end up having stats like that, like 15 corners they ended up having to 1 against Monterrey. Monterrey had 1 corner, which shows you the amount of times that they got in behind, got into these great areas. And Andrade came out and, he made some great saves. And you can see Ryan Gold's just trying everything, trying to poke it through his legs, trying to place it in the corner. But he came out so big and narrowed down those angles. And even White, when he first steps on the pitch, the first 2 minutes, a ball falls directly in front of him, and he's one-on-one with the keeper. And again, the keeper made a great save. Yeah. And I think you could see a lot of the times when you're down 1-0 and you're dominating a performance, it can get to you. And that's when you start to be a little bit too aggressive. You lose your way, and you do tend to open up, and that's when you can get caught in the counter. But I thought the Whitecaps had a very professional performance. They stuck to the game plan. They didn't panic. When they were in that middle third, they controlled the game. They were patient. And then that's when they were waiting for the right times for Monterrey to open up a little bit. And they got in behind. And I thought it was a fantastic performance overall. Every player, there was no passengers. Everybody knew exactly what the game plan was. And they continued just to penetrate those areas. And they got in almost every single time with an opportunity. It was a great game for me. I really enjoyed calling it. I thought it was they're a fun team to call right now. I think that's probably the biggest difference from this Jesper Sorensen team and the one we've seen in the past with Manny Sartini is the freedom of the players going forward. Ali Ahmed, Jaden Nelson, whoever it is, sort of making these runs in behind. And I think that you're seeing other players get involved further up the pitch as well. JC Ngando, Ralph Priso, Andres Cubas even, who's always been a deep lying midfielder. But these players are getting forward now. Pedro Vite looks amazing. So we sort of unlocked something for all these players. And Jimmy, this is just me and you, but I think Dubs and Craig Forrest have a side chat going on. You guys,
we 100% do.
Don't worry about them.
Dealing with their side check.
You guys just soldier on.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah, you guys. I love Ngando.
Me too.
I thought he was brilliant. He's such a big body in the middle of the park. He shields the ball well. He covers a lot of ground. And Halbuni,
Yeah.
Wow. Especially second half. Jesus, what a player he is.
Yeah, really looks like these players are playing, more freely. JC Ngannou in particular. Like, these guys always look smooth and silky on the ball. Ralph Priso kind of too. Like, he plays it quick. He'll take like 1-2 touches, slip it through. Really clean player. So it's nice to see these guys get on the ball and just play with that confidence. And
what about your thoughts on Tate Johnson?
Yeah, we finally got to see him a little bit. There was a lot of hype on him in the preseason, so I kind of wanted to see him play and see what he could do. It was nice to see him get in this game, and for a young player, I'm guessing the job is just, like, don't fuck it up, and he didn't. I thought, he did a decent job and just kind of keeping the ship steady in a high stakes game, tough situation, and did enough in the end. It's a super young player, but nice to see him kind of trusted on the pitch.
Yeah, I liked him. I thought he was very good. 19 years old.
Yeah.
He comes into a big match like that, and right away he got stuck in. He was composed on the ball, joined the attack at the right times. I think you've got a very good left back in Tate Johnson.
Yeah, and I think that just kind of speaks to the trust that Jesper has in these guys, right? Just kind of getting the kids in there, getting them in situations where they're set up for success and they're doing well. I mean, they're going to finish first in the West in MLS, right? Like, that's
they keep playing the way that they are. Absolutely,
they do look good. Yeah, got to stay healthy. You mentioned Rios kind of, he needs to get up to speed. I think if Brian White starts that game, maybe they get one in the first half. Because it wasn't just the ones that were obvious that he was kind of like a little bit late for. You feel like Brian would have given them a little bit more in the build-up and kind of moving off the ball, because you're right, he was still quite static. Maybe that's just kind of getting used to the team and building chemistry.
Yeah. Speaking of chemistry, there's something happening here today.
Right?
Like, you two are fucking bang on. Holy shit. Like, it's seen sparks fly between Jimmy and Asa.
Like, he knows his shit. I can have good football chat with him.
Yeah, Jimmy's just got to watch the game. And he's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's what it is. See what happens when you watch a game, Jimmy?
Yeah.
It's the first full 90 Jimmy's watched in a month, as he called it.
Asa, what's the feel over the injuries with Sam Adekugbe, and just because of the national team implications too? Was Jaden Nelson on that 60-man roster? I don't remember.
Yes.
So now those two are down. Richie Larea, we're waiting on to see what his scan looked like. Schaffelberg's still out. It seems like they're losing. We don't know about Fonzie, right?
Yeah.
Because of his issue. There seems to be a few guys missing.
Yeah.
Or who could be missing. What's your take on that?
By the way, can I jump in? All the lefties are dropping. I might get a call here.
I was going to say it, Jimmy. Lace him up. I was going to say it. That was my thought.
Pull the jersey out. There you go. Doug got his shirt. Look at that.
Yeah, get in there. Going to get a call any day now. Obviously concerning. I mean, there's still enough time ahead of the World Cup, but these other competitions, you got to feel in jeopardy of making these other international competitions and matches coming up. So no word on sort of the status of Jaden Nelson going forward. That was devastating. That's a minute into this match. Just kind of feels something, goes down, clutches the hamstring. Don't like that, obviously. Sam Adekugbe sounds like a quad issue.
Have they not talked about it? Like, I know you're really close. So is there any information?
But like both of those muscle injuries, so it's like I think you'll get the standard 2 to 4 months, and then there's like that recovery.
2 to 4 months.
Sorry, 2 to 4 weeks. 2 to 4 weeks. Sorry. Yeah, basically a month. But then there's the recovery as well, right? It's like it's this kind of big window where you're kind of hoping that they're good, and especially with Sam, who's had a bit of an injury history. I know he said that he's just devastated by this because, he got all these international competitions. And that's definitely been on the radar for these players who are looking at the World Cup, the Canadian ones in particular. I think we talked about this before. You have Ali, Adekugbe, Jaden Nelson, even like guys like Ralph Priso, very motivated this season with the World Cup just around the corner. So, that's a tough one. And I know that they want to get back on the pitch, but probably also thinking about the long-term implications here and not wanting to suffer a setback, because that would seriously then impact their chances of making the World Cup team.
Ralph Prizzo is such an intriguing player too, isn't he? He's on the 60-man list as well that Jesse Marsh assembled there. Like, what is Sorensen seeing in him that perhaps other coaches haven't seen?
He's a good defender. Like, he's good at getting in and winning the ball. He's like deceptively quick and fast. Like, he doesn't look super fast when you're kind of watching him, but nobody gets around him really. He seems to catch up to people. And he's so clean on the ball. Like, it's something that I guess kind of goes unnoticed because it's not fancy. He's not like JC Ngondo jumps off the page. Ali Ahmed jumps off the page. They're stepping over. They're pushing past people. There was a little like kind of clever back heel that set up Sebastian Berhalter on a chance inside the 18, and it was Ralph Prizzo who passed it ahead to Ryan Gault, who did the little back heel, but it was in 2 touches. Ralph Prizzo's getting it, turning it, and finding Ryan Gault in a good position. And I think sometimes that stuff gets kind of overlooked because it's the pass before the pass, but he moves it so quickly. He gets it under control and distributes. I think his processing speed is probably really high because he's just always on top of it, moving it, knowing where teammates are and everything. And again, we saw glimpses of it last year. Filled in for Andres Cubas when he needed some time. And that's a tough position, right? Filling in for Cubas, especially with the way that Vanni Sartini had them set up. There was a lot on that defensive midfielder, and Prizzo did incredibly well. And it's, again, it doesn't get enough credit, especially with what Cubas does in the middle of the park. So, yeah, I think he's a really good sort of 6th defensive midfielder. And then with Sorensen, you're seeing him kind of get forward a little bit more and be encouraged to join the attack. And he's fun to watch. He's another good one.
Do you think Prizzo, Asa, another layer to him as a player and maybe how he's undervalued is I often saw it with players that I played with that maybe didn't get the credit that they were deserving of, or say somebody like Vanessa Gilles, who is lauded now a little bit later in her career, not a burner, but reads the game so well. So their ability to be in the right place at the right time, they're able to do it with less pace than somebody else because their vision is so exceptional.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. No, that's a great point. So yeah, it doesn't look fancy, right? Like it's just quietly going about your business, but making plays at the end of it. And as a coach, I'm sure that you see it, you notice it and appreciate it as well. That when this guy's on there, we can create things, we can do things because they're processing it so quickly and moving the ball, and we're good situations and scenarios because of it.
Yesterday, Asa, we spoke about the World Cup announcement, the halftime show performers.
Breaking news,
right? Any performance that you can see, perhaps answering the call and performing at halftime?
What? You're asking me if I know any? Yes.
Yeah.
What band would you like to see?
Who should it be? Yeah.
Who would you like to see?
Oh my God. I love this show.
Look like a Billy Idol kind of guy.